Welcome, everyone, to Sustainably Compliant Conversations. Ready to dive deep?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Ever feel like, the planet could really use like a rescue squad or something?
hmm
Well, get this. It kind of has one.
It does.
It's made up of environmental scientists, and that's what we're diving deep into today.
hmm
What they do, why it matters, like more than ever right now, and how you can join the ranks.
I like to think of it like this. We're all on like a giant spaceship
Okay.
hurtling through space.
Right.
And environmental science is kind of like the manual that helps us understand how to keep all the systems running so we can actually, live here.
I love that spaceship analogy. Okay, but let's break it down a little bit. What exactly is environmental science? It's more than just like hugging trees all day, right?
Way more. I sometimes think of it like detective work.
Oh, okay.
But instead of solving crimes, we're kind of piecing together all these mysteries of our planet.
Mm.
So it involves biology, chemistry, physics, basically all these different fields kind of working together, right? To really understand how the environment functions on this, really deep level, how we impact it, and ultimately what we can do to, reverse course and make things better.
Because things, they are a little messy right now, to put it lightly.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about climate change, we're talking about pollution, and these aren't just headlines, right? These are huge, huge challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly where environmental science becomes, extremely important. It's really crucial to finding solutions.
Okay.
For example, I mean, did you know that air pollution from one country can actually impact air quality on a completely different continent?
Wow.
It's true. And so by studying these, global patterns of pollution, we can actually start to create solutions that work on, that global scale.
That global perspective is key, especially when we, start thinking about ecosystems.
Yeah.
Like we see rainforests, we see coral reefs on these amazing documentaries, but I'm sure there's like a ton going on beneath the surface that, we don't always see.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's all about understanding these intricate, sometimes invisible relationships between living things and their environment. For instance, in forests, like under the ground, right?
Yeah.
There's these incredible fungal networks that kind of like connect trees underground, and they can actually communicate and share resources through them.
Whoa.
It's amazing. And without these networks, the whole forest ecosystem would really struggle.
Fungal networks. I mean, that's incredible. Speaking of, huge, intricate, amazing systems, let's talk about the big one, right? Climate change. It
Yeah.
just feels so complex.
It is.
Where do we even begin to like wrap our heads around it?
Yeah. No, it's definitely complex, but, at its core, environmental science can kind of help us break it down into understandable pieces. So think about something like the carbon cycle.
Okay.
It's like this planet-sized game of hot potato, right, with CO2.
Okay.
And, well, humans aren't playing very nicely right now, to put it mildly.
Right.
We keep holding on to the potato way too long.
Yeah.
But by studying things like greenhouse gases, their effects on the atmosphere and how they move around, we can at least start to understand how to address this really big problem.
Right. Right.
And I mean, there are different ways we can do this. Like one really cool example is that scientists actually build these computer models to simulate the climate, and then they can kind of use these models to see the impact of different scenarios, like different carbon emission levels.
Wow.
And that can really help policymakers make more informed decisions about things like investing in renewable energy or regulating emissions.
That makes so much sense. And,
Yeah.
and that kind of brings us to, finding solutions, which is where this idea of sustainability comes in.
Right.
But, and maybe this is just me, but it feels like everyone and their mother is throwing that word around these days, What does it really mean, especially like in the context of environmental science?
Yeah, no, you're right. It's definitely become a bit of a buzzword.
Yeah.
But at its core, sustainability is really about understanding something called the triple bottom line, which basically it emphasizes that we need to find solutions that are good for the planet and good for people and good for, the economy.
So it's all three. It's not just the environment.
Exactly. We're talking about balancing economic growth with environmental protection and social well-being. So it's kind of like a three-legged stool, right?
Right. Yeah.
They all have to be in balance to work. And there are so many cool examples of how we can apply this. Like, for example, urban planners are now designing cities that are not only beautiful and efficient, but also minimize their environmental impact.
That's amazing.
And, using things like green building materials, renewable energy, things like that. And Really importantly, these designs often improve the lives of the people who live in these cities. So it's a win-win-win for everyone.
This is all so important, and it's making me wonder, like, what kind of careers are actually out there for someone who's, sitting here listening, thinking, wow, this is really interesting. I could see myself doing this.
Oh man. The possibilities are honestly endless. You could be a researcher. You could work in a lab studying climate change, pollution. You could be out in the field, like, a conservation biologist, helping to protect endangered species or restoring damaged ecosystems.
Yeah.
You could work as a policy analyst, like, actually shaping environmental policy. You could
Wow.
be a consultant, helping businesses become more sustainable, which is a huge and growing field. You could even combine environmental science with, other fields like law
Oh, wow.
or journalism or education. It's such a multidisciplinary field. You can really go in so many different directions.
That's amazing. Okay, so for those listening who are thinking, okay, this all sounds amazing. How do I get involved? Like, what would you tell them, even if they're just starting out?
Honestly, you don't have to wait. Like, jump right in. If you're in school, you can join a student group that's focused on sustainability or environmental issues.
Right.
You could volunteer at a local environmental organization. There are tons of them everywhere. A lot of places offer like workshops or even online courses where you can learn more about, specific topics that you're interested in, like renewable energy or conservation.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, even small actions in your own life can make a difference, like reducing your own environmental footprint
Right.
by, biking more, eating less meat, things like that. It all adds up.
So, to everyone listening out there, we're at this really critical point where we need to ask ourselves,
Right.
what role will you play in helping to create a healthier planet? And, we've just scratched the surface here. Environmental science is huge.
It is.
It's this amazing field. But hopefully this deep dive has, sparked your curiosity, maybe inspired you to learn more, to get involved. Because ultimately, the future really needs all of us, to bring our passion, our knowledge, our action,
Yeah.
to tackle these really big challenges and ultimately, create that healthier planet for everyone.